Kanina po, Commissioner, you said, you admitted with the documents which are being required during importer's accreditation, walang kayang itagong information ang importer sa inyo. Now, the question is, sino po ang importer nitong 6.4 billion na shabu? This is an incident which really shocked the BOC, especially during your term. Sino ang nagpasok nito sa Pilipinas?
Ang alam kong nag-import, sila Taguba.
As head of the BOC, nalusutan ka ng 6.4 billion na shabu, nakapasok sa bansa, that is equivalent to 604 kilos, because you are answerable during that time, at least being the head of the Bureau of Customs.
This importation, ma'am, the existence of a possible shabu that came into the country was relayed to us by Chinese customs. I received the information 10 o'clock in the evening.
Congresswoman Jinky Luistro, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. With the permission of the Chair, Mark Taguba. During the previous hearings, you made mention about various parties which have participation generally in the shipment of goods, and if I may include, in some cases, in the evolution of this you call TARA system, which allows the shipment to avail of the green lane. Some of the parties which you mentioned includes the shipper, the consignee, the custom broker, and even a command center. Do you confirm this?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Chair, I wish to manifest that the alleged TARA system, which allows the shipment to be exempted from examination, both with respect to the documents and with respect to the physical examination, enable the proliferation not only of misdeclaration, but even of non-declaration. Mr. Chair, it is clear that with misdeclaration and non-declaration, the Philippine government is losing huge amount of revenue. And worse, Mr. Chair, during the interpellation, not only of Mr. Taguba, but even of Mr. Guban, the members ask, since when this TARA system and this green lane have been happening? I recall that they responded with, since time immemorial. I cannot help but imagine how much losses the government has incurred already because of this TARA system, which has been happening in the Bureau of Customs, as they say, since time immemorial. Mr. Chair, with that, this humble representation feels that the government's sovereign power is violated not only because of the losses it incurred, but even because of the laws which were violated. By analogy, Mr. Chair, this is synonymous to double jeopardy. Nalugi na ang gobyerno, winalang bahala pa ang batas ng Pilipinas. This is very alarming, Mr. Chair. And this prompts this representation to go back to the basic, to the fundamental system of the Bureau of Customs. And with that, I wish to direct my next questions to the representatives of the BOC. Please walk us through. Pakikwento po sa sambayanang Pilipino how the shipment, how the importation works, considering the TARA system and the color-coded lane which has been shared to us by our resource persons. Mr. Chair, may I ask our former commissioner, Commissioner FAELDON, Commissioner FAELDON, can we start with the import clearance certificate? What is this document and what agency issues the same?
Your Honor, I would like to go to the broader answer to the questions that I will concur with Taguba and that there is Tara since immemorial. I think
Mr. Chair, with all due respect to Commissioner FAELDON, but this representation wish to examine the system which is happening in the Bureau of Customs step by step as to how the shipment process goes without necessarily connecting the same to the cases where Mr. Guban and Mr. Taguba were made involved with. So, ang tanong po dito, Commissioner FAELDON, is the system that we practice in general sa Bureau of Customs. And considering that for a certain period of time, kayo po'y umupo bilang head of the agency, I wish to believe that you have the knowledge about the basic system, the fundamentals which are supposed to be followed or perhaps being followed in the Bureau of Customs. Let's start with the import clearance certificate. Ano po ito, Commissioner? At ano pong ahensya ang nag-i-issue nito?
we have the Accreditation Management Office. It's popular known as the AMO. This is the office that accredits all importers. You cannot import anything if you have no accreditation, certification from that office. So during my time, we have 12,000 combined importers and brokers. And in 6 months, I delisted 4,000 of these because we have found out that they are lacking of the requirements. Some are found to be erring. So that's the first thing I did as far as trying to control these importers. So that is where the accreditation come from the Accreditation Management Officer. They're the ones who vet those applicants for accreditation so that they can do their importation.
Commissioner, can you please state again the name of the office which takes care of the import accreditation process?
Accreditation Management Office. Sila po yung nagpo-proseso, nagve-vet ng accreditation ng gusto maging importer. Accredited importers and brokers.
Will you confirm that if I have intention to import goods, the first step should be to apply an import accreditation?
Yes, Your Honor.
Without that accreditation, I cannot import goods into the country.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. You made mention about 12,000 accredited importers, which later on, you deleted the 4,000 because they are remiss with respect to certain requirements. Question po, Commissioner, ano po ba yung requirements natin for purposes of importers accreditation?
You have to specify in your application what specific goods you're going to import. You have to show certificate from the bank that you have deposited specific amount that makes you capable of importing that goods. You have a verified office that can accommodate the transactions of your importation, business permits, and so the usual permits that the government issues when you establish a business, Your Honor.
For me to be able to inform this office, Commissioner FAELDON, mayroon po ba kayong pinoprovide na form where I should fill in the goods I intend to import?
Yes, Your Honor, we have the packing list that you're supposed to submit to the customs list of those goods that you're supposed to bringing into the country.
Commissioner, we're still on the process of importers accreditation.
Yes, Your Honor. There's different codes of every commodities.
But this is not yet packing list, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
This is international codes. All countries have the same codes of different goods. So we
Balikan po natin, Commissioner, yung goods. Ano pong form yung ginagamit sa BOC in describing the goods for the purpose of applying for importers accreditation?
I cannot remember the codes. There are thousands of codes, sir, representing specific goods, sir. But
The form is provided by the BOC.
yes, ma'am. It's
And-
also in the website. It's publicly accessible in the website of BOCs.
Is
And you
is it correct to say that in the form, there are codes that you mentioned? The
Yes, ma'am.
applicant is supposed to select which code corresponds to the goods
You
he
intend to
intended
import.
to import.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. With respect to bank documents, Commissioner FAELDON, what specific document do you require?
During my time, it is the certificate of deposit because there are certain goods that require specific percentage of amount that you have in the bank so that you can import that specific commodity. So these are the small nitty-gritties that the Accreditation Management Office has to verify before they will approve their accreditation, Your Honor.
Sir, would it be correct to say that the amount required per certificate of deposit depends on the goods to be imported?
Yes, Your Honor. If you intend to import just few items of commodities, you are not going to be required to deposit large amount of money. So it's going to be the specific percentage vis-a-vis the intended commodity to be imported. I am no longer particular about it, Your Honor, but it can be verified, Your Honor.
How about with respect to the office? What particular document do you require?
There's a list of the requirements issued by the Accreditation Management Office. These are publicly accessible in the website. So you have to go to Customs and present all these documents. These are the prerequisite requirements, and you'll be interviewed. And I assume the office has to be verified, and all the other documents that is listed, that is submitted by the applicant, Your Honor.
You mentioned that you verify the office address of the applicant. Is that correct?
That's supposed to be some of the requirements because some of the 4,000 we delisted, when we verified those addresses, it's actually non-existing addresses. That's why we delisted them. So there are so many importers and brokers who do that. So when we try to vet the airing and the fly-by-nights, we found out that 4,000 at least were airing. That's why we delisted them. That's during my time, Your Honor.
In other words, Commissioner FAELDON, by practice, you did the verification of the office address. Reason why you were able to discover this 4,000, which accreditation you deleted already.
We tried our best to clean the list, Your Honor.
You also mentioned about business permit, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
So it discloses the company name and even the company owner. Tama po ba?
Yes, Your Honor.
And would you agree with me if I would say, with the bank certificate, with the office verification, and with the business permit, the BOC has ample information about all the importers into the country?
That's the assumption, Your Honor.
What do you mean by assumption?
If all those documents are truthful, that's why they have to personally verify.
What we're talking about here, with respect to the actual practice and system and not with respect to assumption, Commissioner FAELDON. So I suppose that all the information that you're giving before this committee were practiced at least during your time as Commissioner of BOC. Tama po ba?
Ma'am.
In other words, during your time, Commissioner FAELDON, all importers' information are within the safekeeping of the BOC, considering the ample requirements that you are requiring initially for purposes only of importers' accreditation.
The newly accredited importers during my time, I specifically instructed the chief of the Accreditation Management Office to be very stringent, not stringent, but to be very careful about accrediting because at that time we were delisting more than 4,000. So we do not want to replace them with another airing importers and brokers, Your Honor.
In all fairness to you, Commissioner FAELDON, because you were the one who deleted this 4,000 because they are not compliant with your requirements and your rules, it is the humble submission of this representation that having applied that system, then you have all the necessary information about the importers accredited by the BOC. That is a manifestation. With respect to the documents which you are requiring from the applicants for importation or importers accreditation, question Commissioner FAELDON. Alam nyo ang pangalan ng importer? Of course.
Hindi po. It's the company that's listed, not all the time the owner, ma'am. So we cannot really say that we know the owners of the importers, but the
So
names.
it depends. If the importer is an individual,
Yes, ma'am.
you will know the identity of the person.
The AMO office may know, Your Honor.
Okay. But if the importer is a company, then at least you have the name of the corporation. Tama po ba?
Yes, Your Honor.
And for you to know the owners of this corporation, I wish to believe that you required also the articles of incorporation and the GIS of this corporation who applied for importers accreditation. Tama po ba yun?
Yes, Your Honor, the usual business requirements.
That's actually what we do kapag ang applicant ay corporation. Normally, even for purposes of business permit, ang kasunod po nating hinihingi is articles of incorporation along with the general information sheet. Do you agree with that, Commissioner FAELDON?
Yes, Your Honor.
O balikan ko po yung first question ko. You have the means to know kung sinong importer, whether he is an individual or a corporation, considering the documents that you are requiring during the importer's accreditation process.
Verifying the documents in the office, I think the customs has the means to do
Yes,
that.
yes.
But going actually to check on the offices, that is where the customs lack the capability to personnel verify some 12,000 offices nationwide.
But at least you were able to delete 4,000 up to out of the 12,000 accredited importers, because you said earlier, because of verification process, you found out that this 4,000 are not compliant with the requirements. Some do not have the necessary office address. Tama po ba yun, Commissioner?
Yes, ma'am. And some of those who were delisted were frequent violators of import laws. So I checked on the database who are the importers and brokers who have violated some importation laws in the past, and I immediately included them on the list to be delisted in our accreditation, Your Honor. So that's another parameter why we delisted them, Your Honor.
Either kulang ang requirements or nagkaroon ng previous violation.
Yes, Your Honor. And of the 4,000, not one of them went to court and contest their delisting of their company in the
No one
accredited.
attempted to question why they were
I cannot
deleted.
I cannot remember even one of them who went to court and question their delisting from the accredited, Your
Sir,
Honor.
balikan ko po yung documents na nire-require nyo during importer's accreditation process. With those documents, you can determine also the address of the importer, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
With those documents, you can determine also the contact details of the importer, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
And with those documents also, you can determine also what type of business does the importer conduct.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you can also determine the affiliations of this importer.
Outrightly, I suppose the AMO should be doing a due diligence, AMO office, in checking the affiliations of this, or this applicant has been previously delisted, a company under his name or her name has been previously delisted. Those are the assumptions that the AMO office has to do due diligence in checking those circumstances, Your Honor.
And with those documents, sir, definitely we can determine also the nationality of the importer.
Of course, because
Yes.
there should
In
be a
conclusion,
nationality
sir,
written under the SEC or DTI registration, Your Honor.
In conclusion, Mr. FAELDON, if I am an importer, generally speaking, it is very difficult to hide basic and important information from the Bureau of Customs. Do you agree?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. I wish to direct my next question still to the BOC. Commissioner FAELDON, are you aware of this shipment number MCLU 61881?
I'd like to request Your Honor to please refresh my memory. I cannot remember that now.
MCLU 61881 pertains to the 6.4 billion smuggling of shabu, equivalent to 604 kilos of shabu, in which case Mark Taguba was convicted for smuggling shabu by the regional trial court. That is MCLU 61881. Kanina po, Commissioner, you said, you admitted, with the documents which are being required during importer's accreditation, walang kayang itagong information ang importer sa inyo. Now, the question is, sino po ang importer nitong 6.4 billion shabu?
Hindi ko na po matandaan, ma'am, kung sino po yung importer niyan. That importation has been a subject of a long court litigation.
I understand, Commissioner, but this is an incident which really shook the BOC, especially during your term. Tama po ba yon?
Yes, ma'am. If I may...
And of course, the first question that you wish to be answered, considering na may nakapasok na 6.4 billion na siya, sino ang nagpasok nito sa Pilipinas? I want to refresh your memory, Commissioner FAELDON. Walang makakapag-import without the importer's accreditation. You likewise said, with the ample requirements which are being required from the importer, walang kayang itagong information ang importer from the Bureau of Customs. Now, we are talking about this specific shipment that pertains to 6.4 billion shabu, which shook the Bureau of Customs and even your leadership of the BOC when this shabu was apprehended in the Valenzuela warehouse. Question, Commissioner. This is something na hindi mo dapat nakakalimutan. Sino po ang importer nito?
I would like to be given time to check on who's the specific importer of that, ma'am. But the sequence of that apprehension, I can relate to this court,
If
Your
I
Honor.
may interrupt, Commissioner FAELDON, would you agree with me if I would say that as head of the BOC, nalusutan ka ng 6.4 billion na shabu nakapasok sa bansa, that is equivalent to 604 kilos, di ba? The first question that will pop up in your mind, sino ang nagpasok nito? Because you are answerable during that time, at least being the head of the Bureau of Customs. I find it strange that an incident as big as this during the time ay makakalimutan nyo po. This is something na hindi nyo dapat makalimutan because it casted doubt to your
Your Honor,
leadership as head of the POC.
Ang alam kong nag-import, sila Taguba. But I want to be corrected if hindi po sila ang nag-import niyan. Nagparating sa bansa. Yung importer mismo, in the packing list, because this is, ma'am, if I be given just 1 minute to explain this, so that you are correct, ma'am, the nation has to know the truth about this. You may agree or disagree with me, ma'am, but please give me a chance to. Because this has been tackled by the nation in 2017. This importation, ma'am, the existence of a possible shabu that came into the country was relayed to us by Chinese customs. I received the information 10 o'clock in the evening. By 2 a.m. following day, that's just 4 hours, nahanap na po namin kung naasen siya. So that's why I beg to disagree that nakalusot po sa amin. Hinanap ko po, ma'am, because I was given the information that there's possible shipment of shabu na galing sa China. And the information was given to us. So I give instruction to the intelligence division, I give them the information and they look for it. So that is how this shabu came in. At nahanap po namin, ma'am, not a single kilo went to the streets. I think yung sinasabing nalusutan, yes, I take the responsibility since 2017. But if you read the Customs Modernization and Tariff Act, there's a clear delineation of the tasking of the commissioner and the customs collector. And in that law, it's very specific that only the collector has the right to release shipment. So of the 38 ports, it is impossible for the commissioner to check every shipment. That's why it is delineated to them by the law. The verification and authority to release all those shipments does not rely on the commissioner anymore. It is now on the individual port collectors. So, but when I received the information that there is a possible importation of shabu that passed through customs, it took us 4 hours to locate that, ma'am. And I want to take that as something that I did good, contrary to the perception that I let it go. I did not let it go, Your Honor.
Commissioner FAELDON, let me complete the context of my question. With this representation, made use of the term nalusutan. Nahuli niyo yung shabu, pero hindi niyo nahuli yung importer. And today, I'm asking you, sino ang importer? You cannot even say. An information which is supposed to be highly important because of the huge amount of prohibited drugs which were apprehended by you. Hindi ho ba? Quite strange yan na hindi nyo matandaan or perhaps you did not bother to check sino po ang importer nito. For me, Commissioner FAELDON, it is not enough that you apprehended the shabu. You should have arrested the people responsible for the shipment of shabu as well. Kung parehas nyo pong nahuli, yung shabu at yung tao, you might be correct. Hindi po kayo nalusutan. Pero nahuli nyo yung shabu, hindi nyo nahuli yung tao, I hope, with all due respect, you will understand why I use the terminology nalusutan ang BOC.
Yes, Your Honor.
So let me go back to my question, Commissioner FAELDON. Would you like to...
Mr. Chair, in indulgence of Congressman Luistro, hindi yata sinagot ni Commissioner FAELDON kung sino yung importer. Please tell us kung sino yung importer.
I will tell you immediately after I get the name, Your Honor. I do not want to be saying person here na hindi pala siya. I want to make sure that, sir, I am asking someone to...
Then you do not
have it
even know
verified
right
to me.
now? You're not even sure right now? Ba, pambihira naman buhay ito. You should be sure right now. Kung nakahuli kayo ng ganyan, hindi nyo alam kung sino yung importer?
Sir, gusto ko lang sana Ma-verify talaga, sir. Kasi
Well, you
I
better
cannot
tell us
remember
later
the
on who.
specific name anymore, sir. So,
Because look you'll be accountable to this. Nakahuli kayo ng shabu, inamin mo. Pero hindi mo alam kung sino yung importer.
sir, within the day, within this hearing, I will name kung sino po yun, ma'am. I just want to make sure that
Thank you, Mr.
I will
Chair.
get
Thank
the
you,
correct name. Your
Congresswoman
Honors.
Luistro.
Yes.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah, please
if I may
proceed.
continue. Sir, medyo naputol po tayo dun sa importers accreditation. Let me continue that line, Commissioner FAELDON. Kung meron na pong importers accreditation, then the importer can actually start facilitating the process. Tama po ba?
Yes, Your Honor.
And what importation documents need to be submitted this time to the Bureau of Customs?
There's a packing list that's supposed to enumerate the items and the quantities of these commodities to be imported from other countries.
Aside from the packing list, sir, ano pong documents pa ang dapat isubmit sa BOC? This is the importation proper already. The importer already secured the accreditation. So, mag-i-import na siya. What documents need to be submitted to the BOC? You mentioned about the packing list. What else, Commissioner?
The specific term, ma'am, I cannot mention it, but these are the invoices of these commodities from the corporation or from the manufacturer. You get these commodities. This is to attest that the amount you specify there is correct. Dito po yung invoice from the manufacturers where these commodities will be coming from, Your Honor.
The packing list contains the description and the quantity of the goods, correct? While the commercial invoice contains the value.
The
of
value,
goods.
ma'am, because this is where the tariff will be computed once these commodities arrive in the country.
And
Your
when
Honor.
you say tariff, it means importation tax.
Yes, Your Honor.
Does it include bill of lading, Commissioner?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ano po bang nilalaman naman itong bill of lading in the interest of the Filipino people?
Until you physically open the commodities in their packaging, it is very hard to assume that these are exactly the same as it is stated in those documents, Your Honor.
Yes, but with respect to the document bill of lading itself, what do we see from the bill of lading?
The shipment where these commodities will be coming in,
Can you please cite the information we see from the bill of lading?
yung mga anong barko siya nakasakay, what are the containers, so that this can be tracked.
Containers reference number?
Yes, sir. Meron tayo. Ma'am, meron yang, these are international numbers that can be tracked by all customs agencies in the world. Kaya po meron number itong mga containers na to.
Pag sinabi niyo po bang tracking number, ito po bang binanggit ko kanina about the 6.4 billion Cebu, MCLU 600, 1881, ito po ba yung international tracking number?
Yes, ma'am. That's why our Chinese counterpart gave us that number, and we were able to trace where that truck was delivered.
You are saying that the information, that the source of your information is your Chinese counterpart.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So, what other informations can we get from the bill of lading, sir? We have the international tracking number. I suppose we can see from the bill of lading the name of the shipper, the
Yes,
name
ma'am.
of the importer.
The date that's supposed to the arrival of these
How about
commodities in the
the
country.
country of origin,
Exactly, ma'am. It's part
country
of
of
it.
destination,
Yes, ma'am.
the port of unloading,
Yes, ma'am.
the consignee,
Yes, ma'am.
and the shipping line.
Yes, ma'am.
Can we determine through the bill of lading also the people facilitating the shipment here in the Philippines, apart from the importer, like for example, custom broker?
The brokers. Pardon me, but I am not real particular if it's the brokerage is part of that, or it's a different transaction that a broker
So you
will.
are not certain. You are not certain. If
Yes,
the
ma'am. I'm not
broker's
very sure
name
whether
is
it's the
indicated
broker is
also.
included there. I'm not sure, ma'am.
Saan po ginagamit, sir, yung special certificate or permit? This is among the documents which are being submitted to BOC. Saan po ba ginagamit to? Saan goods ito applicable? Or what kind of importation requires special certificates or permit?
I think some government importation,
For example po,
the importation of some government requirements that does not require payment of tariff, they may have different and special importation permit, Your Honor.
Can we cite as example firearms and ammunitions if the Philippine government, for example, is importing some?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ano po yung special permit na tinutukoy doon?
The specifics of the permit, I cannot.
And that permit is issued by the Philippine government?
They have to get. There's so many government agencies that they have to pass through. There's an approval from the Philippine National Police, from the finance. When you get this special permit, it's a multi government agencies that approves that permit, and Customs Commissioner is not part of those who will approve it. It's secretary levels and multi government agencies, Your Honor.
Halimbawa po, mag-import ako ng luxury vehicles. May special permit po bang kailangan doon?
I would like to report back to you, ma'am, if importation of luxury is required to have a special permit. But second-hand luxury, not allowed, definitely, is, except when there's specific, I don't know if there's specific law that allows importation of second-hand or slightly used luxury, but I would like to revert back to you, ma'am, if importation of luxuries requires special permit, Your Honor.
How about if I will be importing high-end branded garments or bags? Special permit required din po ba?
I think the brand owner has to have a certificate that this specific, let's say, Hermes, are we talking about? Yes. They have to certify that these are genuine.
So the certification being referred to here is issued by the company of the high-end brand.
Yes, ma'am, because if this brand came into the country without those certification, they are subject to apprehension, Your Honor.
I have this information that among the importation documents also is the classification of goods. Do you confirm this?
Yes, Your Honor.
And among the classification of goods, kasama po dyan yung general merchandise.
Yes, ma'am. Diyan yung general merchandise po, yun yung medyo magulo kasi there's so many commodities that's classified general merchandise. So diyan po tayo nagkakaroon ng maraming problema sa ating peer.
Can you please enlighten us, Commissioner? Ano po ba yung problemang na-generate nitong classification na general merchandise?
Mag-import ng, let's say, mga non-branded sapatos, mga damit, pero hahaluan na yan ng kung ano-ano na high-end commodity or prohibited commodities. Usually, doon sa general merchandise, tayo nagkakaroon ng problema. So, pinapasok na nila doon yung mga kontrabando. So, hindi siya nakalista doon sa packing list nila. Talagang doon sa general merchandise, yun po yung madalas maabuso ng importer. And the brokers, sometimes the brokers, they really don't care kung ano yung laman ng containers. So, yan po yung nagkaroon tayo ng, that's where the corruption and so many other problems come into play, yung sa general merchandise.
Commissioner, I will go back to you. Mr. Taguba, I remember during your previous testimony, you made mention of general merchandise in relation to TARA system. Can you enlighten us on this?
Your Honor, yung general merchandise po, iba-iba po kasing may-ari nun. So,
Iba-iba ang may-ari.
Opo. Yung isang container, pwedeng may footwear, pwedeng may kitchenware. So, iba-iba. Hindi naman siya kontrabando, pero hindi siya dinedeclare kasi mahaba eh. Pag i-declare mo siya, ang may-ari ng container, ay yung may-ari ng produkto, sobrang dami ng laman ng isang container eh. So, hahaba yung ililist mong items. So, ang ginagawa, pag general merchandise, pipili na lang ng ilan na papayagan naman ng BOC. So, yun na lang i-declare.
In other words, mayroong nakalista, mayroong hindi.
Yes. General description po.
And for some whose intention really is to engage in importation of contraband, sinasadya nila na gamiting classification yung general merchandise para mailusot those which are prohibited.
Magagamit po siya sa...
Like shoe.
Pwede po.
Yun bang 6.4 billion, if you still remember, Mr. Taguba, was it classified also as general merchandise?
Pwede ko po bang i-clarify muna yung sinabi ni Commissioner FAELDON?
Yes.
Okay lang po.
Commissioner FAELDON, let me continue with the process, please. Once all these documents for importation are submitted to BOC, ano po bang sunod na gagawin? Let us say that the importation are already loaded in the cargo vessel, in the process of being shipped to the Philippines. What should be the next step?
Excuse me, Congresswoman Luistro, I believe your question earlier about the system that you ask Mr. Taguba, I think he's ready to
give the answer.
to give the answer to you before we ask another opinion from Commissioner Faeldon. So,
Your
please
Honor.
proceed.
Your Honor, nasa akin na yung pangalan ng importer. So, I would like to say it now. Yung tinanong nyo kanina, Your Honor, kung sino yung nag-import.
Okay, sige, ganito muna. You hold on to your horses, Mark. Let us listen first to Commissioner Faeldon. Sige, Commissioner.
Yung importer po, ma'am, is a company na EMT Trading.
EMT Trading.
Yes, ma'am. And yung registered owner ay si Irene May Tatad. Nakakulong po yata ito ngayon, Your Honor. I would like Mr. Taguba to correct me if I'm wrong because I think siya yung I think he knows it.
Okay,
so
sige.
kung mali yung aking sinabi, I would
So, ang consignee dun sa importation na yon ay EMT Trading. Tama,
yes,
Commissioner?
Your Honor.
Okay.
The registered owner is Irene May Tatad. I'm sure Mr. Taguba may clarify this if this is wrong or not.
Oh, sige.
Your Honors, thank
Okay.
you.
So, earlier si Congresswoman Luistro asked a question to Mr. Taguba with regards to the sistema, no? Yung sistema, paano dinideclare ang goods kung ang laman ay kontrabando. Sige, please continue.
Yes po, Your Honor. Pero po ang tanong po ni Anpon ay kung yung ba ay may shabu doon galing sa container na yon. Naalala ko po kasi sinabi lang kanina ni former Commissioner Faeldon na merong information from China. So, meron pong nag-testify sa court, taga-BOC, si Rainier Ragos po. Ang tinestify po niya sa court is yung warehouse po, kung saan po yung natagpo yung shabu. Wala pong container na nakalagay doon sa text message na yun.
Excuse me, Mark. Anong ibig mong sabihin? Yung may-ari ng warehouse, ang consignee?
Ay, yung sa shabu po na yung sinasabi po niyang information from China.
So, an information was shared to Commissioner Faeldon, no? By your counterpart from China. And the information was, merong shabu ang warehouse.
Yun po ang information. Pero ang sabi po kasi kanina ni former Commissioner Faeldon, merong container number na binigay. Pero doon po sa korte na nag-testify po itong si Rainier Ragos, wala pong container number kasi text message po yun. Warehouse lang po.
Mr. Chair, I wish to be
Please proceed.
clarified. Mark, yun bang nahuli sa warehouse, container ba yun or yung metallic cylinder lang?
Yun po, metallic cylinder lang po.
Wala na yung container.
Wala na po, ito po yung timeline po niya. Na-deliver yung container May 24, nagka-raid na siya, May 26 na siya.
In other words, the other merchandise inside this MCLU 600 1881 were delivered actually to their respective owners. And it was the metallic cylinder only which was discovered in the warehouse in Valenzuela.
Pero pwede ko rin pong sabihin na pwedeng hindi doon ang galing yung metal cylinder dahil hindi naman nakita yung unloading. Pag tinignan niyo po yung logbook nila, may mga ibang container na na-deliver doon. So, sa tingin ko, na ituro lang yung container na yun, meron din akong text message no, na galing kay Kenneth Dong na nung araw na yun mismo. Nanghihingi siya ng dokumento nung container number na MCLU 600-1881. Tinanong ko siya kung bakit, pero hindi na siya nag-reply. Ako naman, dahil parang wala naman sa akin yun, binigay ko na lang. Ang duda ko kasi, yun yung naging dahilan kaya naituro yung container na yun eh. Siguro kung hindi ako nagbigay ng dokumento na yun nung time na yun, baka hindi yun yung naiturong container.
Would you know the reason why Kenneth Dong was asking for the documents of that particular container?
Si Kenneth Dong po kasi middleman lang po siya. So, ang may-ari po kasi ng warehouse is si Richard Tan. Pero hindi kilala ni Kenneth Dong si Richard Tan, si Manny Lee lang. So, may middleman pa uli. Kung hindi po ako nagkakamali, nag-hearing na po sa Senate ito noon, nang hingi ng dokumento si Manny Lee sa kanya. Ito, itong MCLU 600-1881. So, siya naman, hiningi rin niya sa akin, parang ano lang. Tapos binigay ko sa kanya, binigay niya kay Manny Lee. Ayun, siguro nakarating kay Richard Tan. Yun ay naituro na container. So, hindi ko, ano lang po ito parang assumption ko lang po, theory ko lang po. Kasi wala namang container na natagpuan doon eh, mga cylinder lang po.
Was this container ever discovered during that time? Kung nasan itong container na to?
Ano po eh, wala na po yung container doon eh, nung 2 araw na nakakalipas eh. So, ang nakita na lang doon is yung mga metal cylinder na may nakalagay nga doon na, na papel, yung Fidel Anoche D. Yun na yung pinagbasihan nila.
But do you confirm that that container, the shipment inside that container was classified as general merchandise?
Yes, Your Honor.
Kasi per your narration, kapag general merchandise, maraming may-ari, various types of goods. But I wish to emphasize what you said, na pwede yung metallic cylinder ay hindi naman ang galing dun sa container na iyon. Kasi wala ng container na nakita sa loob ng warehouse.
Wala po, hindi po. Wala
If that is the case, Mr. Taguba, what therefore was the basis why you were made accountable for the metallic cylinder when there is no proof that that is one of the contents of that container?
Yun po. Yung packing list naman, kailanman di ko nakita itong packing list na ito eh.
Does the packing list mentions about metallic cylinder?
Wala po. Yung sinasabi kong packing list, yung ANHI packing list, hindi po siya official document. Kailanman di ko siya nakita. Hindi siya sinabit sa BOC. Ang nakakaalam lang nito is si Manny Lee, sila Richard Tan, na yun, di umano, merong metal cylinder.
And I remember you also testified before na you have a packing list with a stamp of the BOC, and another packing list was produced during the hearing in the court without the stamp of the BOC, and that was the one which was appreciated by the court.
Yun po yung nangyari.
Do you still have with you the packing list with the stamp of the BOC?
Ano na lang po, Xerox copy na lang po.
But it still bear the stamp of the BOC?
Yes po, inano naman siya, verify po siya ng BOC na si Dennis Maniego na ito ay totoong dokumento. So, kahit wala yung original copy kasi sinasubmit siyempre sa BOC, kahit Xerox copy lang siya, pinatunayan naman na totoo ito. At gusto ko lang din iklaro yung AFTA. So, ito po yung isang special permit din po ito. Hindi naman permit, kumbaga, para makabawas sa tax. So, ASEAN-China Free Trade Agreement, hindi po ako nagkakamali. Yun po ay may tatak po ng Quarantine Bureau ng China na in-inspect po siya. At gusto ko lang din sabihin na katulad din sa Pilipinas, hindi lahat ng container ini-inspect. So, swerte rin siya at na-inspect siya. So, dapat talaga, yung korte, nung in-assess niya, dapat pinanigan niya yung aming dokumento kaysa dun sa informal
What do you
packing list
mean
na
when
yun.
you said swerte siya, na-inspect siya?
Hindi po lahat ng container na i-inspect. Ganon din po. Hindi, ganon talaga. Sobrang daming container. So, siya, na-inspect siya. Meron siya tatak ng Quarantine Bureau. Pinatunayan sa korte na totoo yun. Sa
You're referring to this MCU 1881?
Yes. Your Honor.
Okay. And then?
Sa kasamaang palad, ang pinanigan ng korte is yung ANHI packing list, na informal packing list na hindi naman sinabmit sa Bureau of Customs. So, yun, hanggang ngayon, inilalaban namin yun. Nag-motion for reconsideration kami with motion to inhibit.
So, you anchored one of the arguments where you anchored your motion for reconsideration is the non-appreciation of the packing list with the stamp of the BOC.
Yes. Pinaka
Okay.
number one po.